Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this is part one of our April 2021 Star Wheel Astrology and Healing newsletter, though please do also watch the blog on the introduction part for all the sections and read the blog about that as well as watching the videos. So I've just finished filming the introduction. I'm now moving on to part one, which is Mars in April 2021, and mostly about Mars conjunct Rahu in Taurus. So this is a fierce and calamitous, military, athletic and Venusian Mars in Taurus, conjunct Rahu. The Mars-Rahu conjunction was exact on the 28th of March. It is in its nature an immensely violent energy in a very destructive part of Taurus in Rohini Nakshatra, which is known as Rohini Beda. In the ancient Vedic tradition, Rohini Beda, 19 to 24 Taurus and Scorpio opposite, occurs when either Saturn or Mars pass through a triangle formed by Alpha, Epsilon and Gamma stars of Taurus. You can look up the energy of those stars if you have a star energy book. If you haven't got one, they're wonderful to have. And that's the Vedic definition, Saturn or Mars passing through Rohini Beda. But note that when Uranus transited there, it did produce the Hiroshima atomic bomb. Now, well, we here in Ireland had manifestations of the energy, so we had a big power outage and storm on the 28th of March, and indeed there are massive climate implications and connections to Rohini Beda. But I'm aware of the gun violence in Atlanta and Boulder, and I do say that sadly 2021 will be a warlike year. And of course there was the Iceland volcanic eruptions and the cargo ship running aground in the Suez Canal on March the 23rd. It's important to say, and this is what I said in my March newsletter, it's on a very sensitive danger area in President Biden's charts. See my March newsletter section on that. And hence power shift starting to his deputy Kamala Harris. And note indeed that the full moon of the 27th of April is right on top of Joe Biden's natal moon. So around the 27th of April, a lot will happen in the relationship between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, especially with the issue of the open border coming to a head. But back to the Mars-Ketu conjunction, it was exact on the 28th of March, on a very sensitive and dangerous part of Joe Biden's chart. And indeed, eclipses are also on very sensitive areas of Biden's chart. And eclipses here denote very big life change. And looking slightly ahead, Ketu is going to transit over his Sun exact on the 16th of January 2022. And the Sun is life force, and Ketu cuts, but for spiritual possibility. So, very big stuff there. But as I indicated in the introduction session, maybe the most chilling manifestation of this energy of Mars Rahu in Taurus, which was exact on the 28th of March, was a statement by Boris Johnson, the UK Prime Minister, reported by the press on the 29th of March, that the UK will focus more investment in upgrading the Trident nuclear system and other high-tech rearmament. and this will give the military the foundation to make them all the more useful. All the more, Boris Johnson said, all the more, I'm afraid, lethal and effective around the world. There's more on this below, but note that like Donald Trump, Boris Johnson too has Kalsarpa Yoga, all the planets to one side of the nodal axis, which is a preposterous and divisive energy, although having to deal with that can make people more spiritual. Some people. In Boris Johnson's case, his natal moon is actually to the other side of the nodal axis. But note that this doesn't cut the Kalsarpa Yoga energy at all. It doesn't help the moon because it creates an unsupported or Kimadruma moon, which is actually deleterious for mental stability. Just as indeed in Donald Trump's Kalsarpa Yoga, he has Moon conjunct Ketu, which can be very deleterious for mental stability. So, as I've said, Mars is transiting Vedic Taurus now, and please note that Boris Johnson has his natal Mars at 8 Taurus and his natal Mercury at 25 Taurus. He really has acted out the terrible side of the energy of the Mars-Rahu conjunction. But there's a big twist to the tale with Xi Jinping, the China president. He is actually being empowered now because Jupiter is trining his sun, and this is a boost to his fortune. But unfortunately, he's using it in a way which is creating most unfortunate things, for example, between Britain and the US and China at this time. So details are happening. Chinese rulers have told foreign consulates to refuse British travel documents. The US administration has rejected China's claims to the South China Sea and certain land formations. The US has conducted a freedom of navigation operation in the area, sometimes joined by international partners. And all this is coming at a time when China launches a month-long series of exercises in the South China Sea. Britain and Japan are planning naval exercises there. And the big thing to add is that Xi Jinping also has Kalsarpa Yoga. The exception is that his natal Saturn is the other side of the nodal axis, but that does not mean that the Kalsarpa Yoga doesn't exist. It exists, and Saturn confronts it with grim, ultimately structured determination and force. And so the problem is that as Mars progressively breaks out of the Kalsarpa Yoga that's existed for ages in the heavens, Mars moves towards Vedic Gemini. That will have different manifestations, but the whole point is it will enhance the preposterous and divisive energy of communication at this time, which is already so ranting and sensationalist. But I want to make another note about how the Mars transiting Taurus and the Mars-Rahu conjunction can also be positively used. So just a little personal note from our small community here. Well, for a month now, we've been doing Jason Quitt's Egyptian Postures of Power, Salute to the Sun each morning, which is so wonderful, not only for embodiment, but also for chakra activation and vision connection. So that is a use of Mars in Taurus. Mars energy bodywork. Wonderful, wonderful. And indeed, before that, we have a personal training session, for example, with a band and with sit-ups and kettlebell and medicine ball. And And that is, I have benefited so much. It's so good for health now and longevity. But another fascinating twist to the Mars in Taurus energy, where Taurus is ruled by Venus, one member of the community has started a wonderful pottery project, Wild Atlantic Pottery, making pottery by hand. She's a skilled ceramicist, and then heating the pottery in an earthen kiln. There's a cliff at the bottom of our garden, a little bank and a river, and they've built an earthen kiln on the little bank, sort of where the smoke won't bother anyone, and are making such beautiful pottery. So it just shows you that the energies of Mars can be used in totally contrasting ways. So, eclipse activation. Around April the 11th, Mars reaches 28 Taurus. Now, Mars will therefore be opposite the 14th of December 2020 eclipse. And I did a big post on that, how I felt it would very much upset the stability of Donald Trump's mind because his moon K2 is there. But also it's super powerful. It is actually one of the two eclipses in 2020 which is in the same place on the same date as the eclipses that led to the Twin Towers destruction. Now, Mars on April the 11th will oppose that pool of stagnant energy at the end of Vedic Scorpio, at 28 Scorpio. Explosive events are very likely then. Beware of people acting very reactively. Hopefully this energy can manifest us with positive taking of power rather than violent, pointless exhibitions and destructions. So there's more in the blog. Just another manifestation of the Mars-Rahu energy. Donald Trump announcement March the 29th, his new website to defeat the Washington establishment, launching the most extraordinary political movement in history, dethroning political dynasties, defeating the Washington establishment. And of course, at the same time as that announcement, on the 29th of March, the day after the Mars-Rahu exact, there is strong talk of Donald Trump setting up his own platform to take on Twitter and Facebook, returning to social media probably 2 or 3 months' time with his own platform. So the blog ends with a calendar of the challenges of the Mars transit from April the 13th to June the 1st. Have a look at it. There's massive activation in national and leadership charts. So Mars is transiting Taurus, but will go into Vedic Gemini on the 13th of April. Okay, in Vedic Gemini, the USA has Mars, Venus, Jupiter and Sun. They are all going to be activated by the Mars transit. Donald Trump has Mercury in Gemini. Kamala Harris has her vastly powerful and fated ascendant conjunct Rahu in Vedic Gemini. Mars will go over that. Xi Jinping has Sun, Mercury, Mars and Uranus in Gemini. Boris Johnson has got Rahu and Venus and Sun in Vedic Gemini, plus Gulika, which is activated by malefic transits, plus Munta, the one-size-fits-all indicator of the special focus of the year ahead from his last birthday, there in Gemini. What's going to happen? A shattering and awakening event will certainly occur, at least in the USA, but very probably wider, and of course at the level of ordinary people's lives. Or perhaps we're not so ordinary. But I do need to just add a final paragraph that at this time Jupiter, which will have entered Vedic Aquarius, will be sending blessings to Gemini. It aspects Gemini positively. And when Mars progresses through Gemini and reaches Punarvasu Nakshatra, well, that is ruled by Jupiter. So this will be very interesting. Jupiter will be in Dhanishta Nakshatra, ruled by Mars. Mars will be in Punarvasu Nakshatra, ruled by Jupiter. There's a Parivartana. How will that manifest? My hope and belief is that I will seek to manifest it in the combination of search for blessing and knowledge pursued with great energy, Jupiter and Mars. So, if you want a reading from me, go to my Star Wheel Astrology website by page. See the video and blog on this Mars transit, which is part one of our several parts of the April 2021 Astrology and Healing newsletter. Go to the 2021 April page on the Star Wheel Astrology website to see the links for all the different parts of this April newsletter. Thank you.